Unravel the mystery of a forgotten village where eerie tales blur with reality. What caused the villagers to vanish overnight? An ancient secret or a supernatural force? Join a thrilling journey where every shadow hides a twist. This video will keep you glued to the screen. Subscribe and hit the bell to catch the next chilling chapter. The truth awaits. Dare to discover it. Now let's begin. The cold night air wrapped around Lily Morgan as she stood at the ATM, her fingers hovering over the keypad while she withdrew cash. The city streets were nearly empty, save for the occasional car passing by in the distance. A street lamp flickered above her, casting long shadows across the cracked concrete sidewalk. Beside her, Titan, her German Shepherd, sat attentively, ears perked, eyes methodically scanning their surroundings. Though retired from the K9 unit, Titan's instincts remained razor-sharp. He had been Lily's protector for years, ever since she'd adopted him after his police handler. Her brother had been killed in the line of duty. Tonight would prove why that bond had become unbreakable. Lily glanced around, sensing an unease creeping over her. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end, a warning signal she'd learned never to ignore during her years working as an emergency dispatcher. Maybe it was nothing, just the usual caution of being alone at night. She exhaled slowly, trying to shake off the feeling, and reached for the cash as the machine beeped its completion. That's when she heard it, footsteps fast approaching from behind. Before she could turn, a rough voice barked, "Don't move!" A man in a dark hoodie lunged forward, his face partially hidden by shadows, his right hand clutching a knife that gleamed under the dim streetlight. Lily's heart pounded as she instinctively took a step back, her grip tightening on the money. "Just hand it over, lady, and no one gets hurt," the man hissed, his eyes darting toward her purse. But he had completely ignored Titan, a mistake that would cost him dearly. Titan let out a low, menacing growl, the kind that sent shivers down spines. His muscles tensed beneath his thick coat, hackles raised along his spine. The air shifted, charged with imminent danger. Lily felt it, the calm before the storm. The thief's smirk faltered as his attention finally registered the large German Shepherd. "What the hell?" he muttered, stepping back slightly. Lily, adrenaline surging through her veins, stood her ground. "You should leave," she warned, her voice remarkably steady despite the hammer of her heartbeat. The man hesitated, eyes darting between Lily, the cash, and the increasingly threatening dog. Then, making his decision, he lunged forward, trying to snatch the money from her hand. Titan moved like lightning. A sharp bark echoed through the street, followed by the sound of teeth snapping. The man barely had time to react before Titan lunged at his wrist, clamping down with a force that sent the knife clattering to the pavement. "Ah, get off me!" the thief screamed, stumbling backward. But Titan didn't release his grip. His training had kicked in. This wasn't just instinct. This was years of police work embedded in his DNA. He wasn't just a pet, he was a protector. Lily's breathing was ragged, her pulse hammering in her ears. She had seen Titan in action before during training exercises with her brother, but never like this. This wasn't simulation. This was real danger, and Titan had responded with unwavering loyalty. The man thrashed wildly, trying to shake Titan off, but the dog's jaws were locked with precision, enough pressure to immobilize, but not maim. Lily reached for her phone with shaking hands, dialing 911. The thief was trapped, his face contorted with pain and growing fear. Then suddenly a second shadow appeared from the alleyway. Lily's eyes widened in horror. He wasn't alone. The night, once silent, had erupted into chaos. The first thief writhed in agony as Titan's powerful jaws remained clamped around his wrist. His yells echoed against the empty buildings, but there was no one around to help him. Not his kind, anyway. Lily's heart pounded as she gripped her phone, her fingers fumbling over the screen as she tried to dial 911. But before she could press the call button, movement from the alley beside the ATM caught her eye. Another man emerged, taller, broader, and holding a steel pipe. Her stomach twisted into a tight knot. This wasn't just some desperate thief. This was a planned attack. "Let him go, lady, or you'll regret it," the second man growled, stepping closer, his voice thick with anger, his knuckles white from the grip on the pipe. Titan's growl deepened, vibrating through the air. He hadn't loosened his grip on the first thief, but Lily could see his focus shifting. He sensed the new threat, his ears flicking slightly toward the sound of the second man's approach. Lily took a shaky breath, forcing herself to think clearly. If she ran, they could chase her down. If she let go of the money, they might take it and still hurt her. No, she wouldn't let fear dictate her actions. "I said let him go!" the second man snapped. He raised the pipe, his stance shifting like he was about to swing. Lily's blood ran cold. The situation had escalated beyond a simple robbery. Titan released the first thief, but not out of fear, out of strategy. The moment the first man stumbled back, clutching his bleeding wrist, Titan whirled toward the bigger threat, a blur of muscle and fury. The second man barely had time to react before Titan leaped, crashing into his chest with enough force to knock him off his feet. The steel pipe flew from his hand, clattering against the pavement with a metallic ring that echoed through the empty street. The impact sent the man sprawling onto his back, and before he could recover, Titan was on him. One paw pinning the attacker's shoulder, his teeth just inches from the man's throat. One move, one wrong twitch, and it would be over. The second man froze. Terror etched across his face. "Call off your dog," he stammered, eyes wide with pure fear. Lily clenched her fists, a cold resolve settling over her. "You were about to hit me with a pipe," she said, her voice harder than she expected. "You don't get to make demands." The first thief, still cradling his injured wrist, tried to scramble to his feet. "Screw this, man! Let's go!" he gasped, panic evident in his voice. The second man thrashed under Titan's weight, but the dog didn't budge. His snarl was unrelenting, a warning, one last chance. Lily took a deep breath. She had a choice. She could call the police and have them both arrested, or she could make them regret ever crossing paths with her. She looked down at the second man, who was now panting with panic. "If I let you up, you're gone, understand?" The man nodded frantically, desperation in his eyes. Lily whistled once, sharp and commanding. Titan obeyed instantly, stepping off the man but remaining poised for action. Muscles still taut, teeth still bared. His eyes never left the two men as they stumbled backward, fear evident in their expressions. They didn't dare fight back. The second man grabbed the first by the arm. "Let's go," he muttered, his bravado shattered. And then they ran, disappearing down the darkened street. Lily exhaled a shaky breath, watching them vanish into the night. She dropped to her knees beside Titan, running her trembling hands through his thick fur. "Good boy," she whispered, her voice catching. "You saved me." Titan's ears flicked back, and for the first time that night, his tail wagged. He pressed his muzzle against her cheek, a gesture of reassurance. Lily pulled out her phone again, hesitating before dialing the police. They would never believe her if she said she was completely unharmed, all because of him. She looked down at Titan, her protector, her hero. No matter what happened in the future, she would never feel afraid again, because with Titan by her side, she was unstoppable. The city lights flickered in the distance as Lily sat on the curb, her pulse still racing. The adrenaline hadn't fully worn off yet, but she wasn't shaking anymore. Titan sat beside her, ears perked, eyes scanning the street for any lingering threats. He was still in full protection mode, his body positioned between her and the open street. Lily exhaled deeply, glancing down at him. "You're incredible," she murmured, scratching behind his ears. His muscles, still tense, slowly began to relax under her touch. But the night wasn't over yet. A police siren wailed in the distance. Lily stiffened. She hadn't called 911, but someone else must have. Perhaps a security camera had caught the attack, or maybe someone had heard the commotion. Either way, she wasn't about to run. She had nothing to hide. Titan, however, sensed something else. His ears twitched, and he turned his head before Lily even knew what was coming. A black sedan was creeping down the street, slow and deliberate, too careful to be innocent. Her breath caught in her throat. They came back. The thieves were gone, but someone else had shown up. Lily felt Titan's body tense again, his posture shifting into a protective stance. She followed his gaze, heart pounding. The car rolled to a stop a few feet away, the tinted window lowered. A man sat in the driver's seat, his face partially shadowed. Older, more composed, but with the same dangerous energy. Not a street thug, something worse. Lily swallowed hard, one hand instinctively moving to Titan's collar. "I heard there was a little incident here," the man said, his voice smooth but with an underlying edge. His sharp eyes flickered to Titan. "Nice dog." Lily didn't respond. Instinct told her to be careful, to reveal nothing. The man chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "You made quite an impression on my guys," he continued. "They came running back like scared little kids. Said you had a damn attack dog." Lily straightened, her fist clenching. "They tried to rob me." The man shrugged as if it didn't matter. "They're not the brightest, I'll admit, but they work for me." Titan let out a low growl. The man barely flinched, but Lily saw the way his fingers tapped against the steering wheel. A nervous tick that betrayed his outward calm. "Look," the man said, his tone shifting, "I don't want any trouble, but you and your dog, you just made some enemies." Lily felt her blood turn ice cold. This wasn't just a random robbery. This was something bigger, something organized. The man leaned slightly out of the window, lowering his voice. "Word of advice, stay out of our way and keep your mutt on a leash." Titan barked once, sharp and commanding. The man jolted slightly, then smirked. "Suit yourself." The window rolled up and the sedan pulled away, disappearing into the night. Lily sat frozen for a moment, her mind racing. Titan nudged her hand, sensing her unease. His warm presence a shield against the growing darkness. She inhaled deeply, forcing herself to think clearly. This wasn't over. If that man was right, she hadn't just defended herself tonight. She had stepped into something dangerous, and now she had a choice to make. Run or fight back. Lily looked at Titan, his golden brown eyes locked onto hers, unwavering in their loyalty. There was never really a choice. She wasn't backing down. The night felt heavier now, thick with an unease that clung to Lily's skin. The black sedan had disappeared into the darkness, but the man's warning echoed in her mind. "You and your dog just made some enemies." Lily clenched her fists. She had lived in the city long enough to know what that meant. Trouble wasn't over, it was just beginning. Beside her, Titan remained still but alert, his ears flicking at the distant sound of approaching sirens, his sharp eyes scanning every shadow. He knew he felt it too. Lily inhaled deeply, steadying herself. She couldn't go home yet. If these men had been watching her, they might already know where she lived. She needed a plan, and she needed help. One person came to mind. With a few quick taps on her phone, she made the call. It rang twice before a groggy but familiar voice answered. "Lily, it's almost midnight. What's going on?" Jackson Reed, former K-9 handler, her brother's partner before his death. The man who had helped her adopt and train Titan after the tragedy. "Jackson, I need you to meet me now." Her voice was steady despite the circumstances. His tone sharpened instantly. "What happened, Lily?" Lily hesitated, looking around. The street was quiet again, but the unease hadn't left her. "I was attacked at an ATM. Titan stopped them, but..." She swallowed hard. "It wasn't random. Someone came after, said I made enemies." Silence hung between them for a moment. "Where are you?" His voice was all business now. She gave him the address. "I'm on my way," Jackson said without hesitation. "Don't move." Lily hung up, exhaling shakily. Jackson was the only person she trusted with this. He had trained Titan back in their police days, and he knew how to handle threats like these. She glanced down at her dog, running a hand over his strong back. "You're a hero, Titan," she murmured. He leaned into her touch, his tail thumping once against the pavement. A low rumble of an approaching engine made Lily tense. Not another car. This time it was Jackson's truck. The black Ford pulled up beside her, and the driver's side door opened. Jackson stepped out, his presence as solid and reassuring as ever. Even in the dim streetlight, she could see the concern in his deep blue eyes. His short, tousled brown hair was a little messier than usual, and he was still in his gray hoodie and sweatpants, probably having jumped out of bed the second she called. He took one look at Titan standing protectively by her side and sighed. "Damn, Lily, what did you get yourself into?" Lily shook her head. "I didn't pick this fight." Jackson's gaze hardened. "Then why does it feel like it's just beginning?" Titan growled. Both Lily and Jackson snapped their heads in the direction he was staring. A figure stood at the end of the block, just barely visible in the shadows, watching. Lily's stomach twisted. They hadn't left. Jackson cursed under his breath, his hand drifting toward the concealed holster at his waist. "Get in the truck, now!" Lily hesitated, but Jackson cut her off, his voice low and firm. "Lily, I don't like this. Get in." Titan didn't need to be told twice. He was already moving toward the passenger side, leading Lily with him. She trusted Jackson, but more than that, she trusted Titan's instincts. If he was uneasy, something was seriously wrong. Jackson kept his eyes on the shadowed figure, his posture tense as he climbed into the driver's seat. The moment Lily closed the door, he hit the gas. As they sped off, Lily turned in her seat to look out the back window. The figure hadn't moved, but another car had pulled up beside him. Lily's throat tightened. They weren't done with her. Jackson's hands gripped the wheel. "We need to talk, and you need to tell me everything." Lily looked down at Titan, his body pressed against her protectively. She wasn't just in danger, she was being hunted. The city lights blurred past as Jackson's truck sped through the empty streets. The air inside the vehicle was thick with tension. Lily sat rigid in the passenger seat, her hands gripping the dashboard. Titan was curled at her feet, alert but calm, his eyes locked on the road as if he too understood the urgency. Jackson didn't speak at first, his jaw clenched as he drove. He was thinking, calculating. Finally, he broke the silence. "Start from the beginning, Lily." Lily exhaled slowly. "I went to the ATM after work. I felt uneasy, but I thought I was just being paranoid. Then this guy comes out of nowhere with a knife, tells me to hand over my money." Jackson's grip on the wheel tightened, and Lily glanced at Titan. And Titan did what he was trained to do, took the guy down. Jackson nodded, his expression unreadable. But that wasn't the end of it. No, Lily swallowed hard. A second guy showed up with a steel pipe, bigger, more dangerous. Titan got him too. Jackson let out a low breath. "Damn." Lily hesitated. Then a car showed up. Jackson's eyes flicked to her. "A car." She nodded. Black sedan, tinted windows. The driver was older, but he wasn't just some thug. He was in control. He told me I made enemies and that I should stay out of their way. Jackson cursed under his breath. He pulled into an abandoned parking lot, cutting the engine. Then he turned to her, his eyes sharper than before. "This isn't a random mugging, Lily." She knew that. She had known from the second that man spoke to her. "So what is it?" Jackson sighed, rubbing his face. "It sounds like you ran into a crew. Could be a gang, could be an organized ring that preys on people at night. Either way, the fact that they came back means they aren't done with you." Lily's stomach tightened. Jackson looked down at Titan, who hadn't stopped watching him. "He's the problem for them." Lily blinked. "What?" Jackson gestured to Titan. "Think about it. Those guys jump people all the time. They're used to victims being helpless, but tonight they ran into this guy." He motioned toward the German shepherd, whose ears perked at the acknowledgement. He took them down. He humiliated them, and more than that, he made them lose control of the situation. Lily bit her lip. "So what? They want revenge on Titan." Jackson shook his head. "Not just him, you too." Lily's breath caught. Jackson leaned closer. "Lily, those guys won't stop until they feel like they've won, and right now you embarrass them. You made them look weak." Lily felt a cold chill crawl up her spine. "They don't just want money anymore," Jackson continued. "They want to make sure you don't feel safe again." The realization sank in. This wasn't over, not even close. Lily looked down at Titan. His body was still, but his golden eyes locked onto hers. He knew. He always knew. Jackson exhaled, then reached for his phone. "I need to make some calls." Lily frowned. "What to who?" Jackson's eyes darkened. "Contacts from the force. If this crew is known to us, we need to find out. And if they aren't," he let out a slow breath, "then we need to prepare for whatever comes next." Lily stared at him. "You think they'll come after me again?" Jackson met her gaze. "I don't think, Lily, I know." The weight of his words pressed down on her chest. Titan let out a soft, deep growl. Lily turned her head. In the reflection of the truck's side mirror, headlights appeared at the entrance of the parking lot. A black sedan. They found her. Lily's pulse skyrocketed. "Jackson!" "I see it," he muttered. He reached for something under his seat. Lily's eyes widened as she saw the glint of a gun. "Stay in the truck. Keep tight and close." Jackson opened the door. Lily grabbed his arm. "Jackson, wait!" Too late. The black sedan's door swung open. 3 men stepped out. Lily's stomach dropped. This time, they weren't just carrying knives. The parking lot was swallowed by tension, the air thick with an unspoken threat. The 3 men from the black sedan moved with deliberate confidence, their shadows stretching across the cracked pavement beneath the flickering streetlights. Lily could barely breathe. Jackson had stepped out of the truck, his grip firm on his Glock 19, though he kept it pointed downward for now. But Lily knew better. He was ready to fire. Beside her in the truck, Titan's body was coiled tight like a spring. His hackles raised, his golden eyes locked on the threat ahead. Lily felt his energy. He wasn't scared. He was waiting. One of the men took a step forward, his hand resting near his waist, near what Lily assumed was a concealed weapon. Jackson tensed, voice sharp. "Move your hand again, and I drop you." The man froze, his eyes narrowed at Jackson, sizing him up. "Relax, man. We just want to talk." Jackson scoffed. "You show up in the middle of the night after trying to jump my friend at an ATM, and now you just want to talk?" Lily swallowed hard, her pulse pounding in her ears. The man smirked. "It was a misunderstanding. My boys didn't know who they were messing with." He tilted his head. "But now," he paused, his gaze flickered to the truck, locking onto Lily. "Now we do." Lily shivered. Another man stepped forward, older, the one from before, the leader. "You should have just given up the money, sweetheart." Lily clenched her fists. "I wasn't going to let you rob me." The leader tisked, shaking his head. "See, that's the problem. You made it personal. And that dog of yours," he chuckled, but there was no humor in it. "Let's just say we don't take kindly to being made fools of." Jackson took a step forward, his voice ice cold. "If you came here looking for a fight, I'll gladly put you down." The leader smirked as if Jackson had played right into his hands. "Oh, we came prepared." In one swift motion, he nodded toward the man to his left, who reached into his jacket. Jackson raised his gun, but before either could make a move, Titan launched out of the truck. A snarl ripped through the night, and before the man could even pull his weapon, Titan had tackled him to the ground. Chaos erupted. The man screamed, thrashing under the sheer power of the German Shepherd. But Titan's training kicked in. His jaws clamped onto the man's wrist, preventing him from grabbing the gun. The leader backpedaled, cursing. "Get him off! Shoot the damn dog!" Bang! Jackson fired a warning shot into the air. "Try it, and you are next." The third man hesitated, torn between drawing his weapon and running. His eyes darted to the leader, waiting for orders. The leader scowled, his mind racing. He had planned on intimidation. He hadn't planned on a trained K-9 tearing through his men like they were nothing. Lily jumped out of the truck, adrenaline taking over. "Titan, release!" she commanded. Immediately, Titan obeyed, snapping his jaws free and stepping back, his chest heaving, his golden eyes locked on the injured man, ready if needed. The man groaned in pain, clutching his arm, his face twisted in shock and fear. The leader took a shaky breath, trying to regain control. "You're making a mistake, girl. You and that mutt." Jackson cocked his gun. "You should leave while you still can." Silence fell over the parking lot. Lily could see the battle behind the leader's eyes. He wanted revenge, but he wasn't stupid. Titan had just proven they weren't winning tonight. Finally, he nodded toward his men. "Get in the car." The injured man staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his torn sleeve. The third man, now pale, backed away. They climbed into the sedan, slamming the door shut. The leader lingered, eyes cold. "This isn't over." Then he got in the car. Lily stood frozen as the sedan peeled out of the parking lot, tires screeching into the night. She didn't move, even as the headlights disappeared. Her legs felt like jelly. Only when Titan pressed his nose into her hand did she realize she was shaking. She sank to her knees, wrapping her arms around him. "You saved me," she whispered into his fur. He let out a soft huff as if to say, "Of course." Jackson walked over, his expression dark. He holstered his gun and crouched beside them. "They'll be back," he muttered. Lily looked up. "I know." Jackson exhaled. "Then we need a plan." The air was thick with the scent of burnt rubber from the sedan's screeching tires, but Lily barely noticed. Her pulse was still hammering in her ears. She clutched Titan's fur as if letting go would somehow make everything collapse around her. Jackson stood beside her, silent, his jaw clenched. He was already thinking ahead. He always did. That's what had made him such a good canine handler. The ability to anticipate, to plan 3 steps ahead. Lily pulled back, staring into Titan's golden eyes. He wasn't shaken. He wasn't afraid. If anything, he was waiting for the next command. Lily swallowed hard and stood, forcing herself to focus. "What now?" Jackson exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "We go to my place. It's safer than yours. They probably already know where you live." Lily's stomach churned. The thought of those men lurking near her home, waiting, made her skin crawl. She nodded. "Let's go." Jackson glanced at Titan, who still hadn't taken his eyes off the road. "Hell of a dog," Jackson muttered. "Real good." Lily gave a weak smile, gripping Titan's harness. "The best." Without another word, they climbed into Jackson's truck. Titan jumped in beside Lily, still alert, still watching. Jackson pulled onto the highway, his eyes flicking into the rearview mirror every few seconds, checking, watching, ready. The city lights blurred past, but Lily barely saw them. Her mind replayed everything. The attack, the leader's voice, the cold promise in his tone. "This isn't over." She shivered. Titan whined softly, pressing against her. Lily ran a hand through his fur, grounding herself in his presence. Jackson didn't speak until they reached his house, a secluded place on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by trees and silence. He pulled into the driveway, cutting the engine. "Inside now," he said. Lily didn't hesitate. She pushed open the door, Titan jumping out beside her. Jackson locked the truck and ushered them into the house, bolting the door behind him. He flipped on the lights, revealing a simple but heavily secured home. Metal-reinforced doors, security cameras, a gun safe in the corner. Lily exhaled. "You always were paranoid." Jackson smirked. "Saved my ass more than once." Titan trotted inside, sniffing the air before settling near the door, guarding it. Jackson went straight to his desk, opening his laptop. "I need to find out who we're dealing with." Lily sat on the couch, her body aching from the tension. "You think the cops will help?" Jackson snorted. "They'll take a report, sure, but they won't put manpower on it unless there's a body." Lily grimaced. Jackson typed rapidly. "I still have contacts. I'll run the plate on their car. Maybe it'll tell us something." Lily leaned back, exhaustion creeping in. She should sleep. She should rest, but she couldn't. Not with them out there. Not with Titan still on high alert. Minutes passed in silence, then Jackson cursed. Lily sat up. "What?" Jackson turned the laptop toward her. It was a police database. The black sedan's plate was flagged under an ongoing investigation. Lily's heart skipped a beat. "They're part of a ring," Jackson muttered. "A high-profile crime syndicate. Robbery, extortion, even trafficking. They don't just steal, they make people disappear." Lily felt cold. Jackson looked at her serious. "You weren't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They were scouting you." Lily's breath caught. "Scouting me for what?" Jackson didn't answer immediately. He turned back to the screen, scrolling through reports. Then he stopped, his face darkening. Lily leaned over. A name stood out. "Victor Kane." Lily frowned. "Who's that?" Jackson's voice was grim. "The man who spoke to you, the one in charge." Lily's stomach twisted. "You know him?" Jackson nodded. "He's ex-military, dishonorably discharged, turned to crime. Ruthless. He doesn't just rob people, he takes them." Lily felt sick. Jackson continued. "And guess what? He has a special hatred for K9 units. Lost a major deal years ago because a police dog caught him." Lily looked at Titan, her heart aching. "That's why he was so focused on him." Jackson nodded. "He wants revenge, and now," he met her eyes, "he wants to make an example out of you." Lily's breath hitched. Before she could respond, a loud crash from outside. Titan sprang to his feet, snarling. Jackson moved instantly, grabbing his gun. He peered through the window, then cursed. Lily's chest tightened. "What?" Jackson's voice was low and lethal. "They found us." Headlights flooded the driveway. Lily's pulse skyrocketed. She grabbed Titan's harness. "We can't fight them alone." Jackson nodded. "Then let's not." He grabbed his phone and dialed. "This is Reed. I need backup now." He hung up and turned to Lily. "We hold out until they get here." A car door slammed outside. A voice called out, "Victor Kane, come on out, sweetheart. Let's finish this." Titan growled, deep, threatening. Lily's fear turned to fire. She looked at Jackson. "I'm not running." Jackson smirked. "Good." He cocked his gun. "Let's end this." The night was no longer silent. The low rumble of engines, the crunch of boots on gravel, the tension in the air so thick Lily could barely breathe. Victor Caney stood outside, waiting. Titan's growl rumbled through the room, deep and steady, his body rigid, ears forward, eyes locked on the door. He wasn't just ready to fight. He was anticipating it. Jackson moved fast. He turned off the house lights, plunging them into darkness, then motioned for Lily to stay low. "Backup's coming, but we have to hold them off." Lily crouched behind the couch, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "How many?" Jackson peered through the blinds, gripping his gun. "4, maybe 5, armed." Lily's throat tightened, outnumbered, outgunned. Victor's voice rang out again. "Lily, let's not make this messy. Just you and the mutt come outside and I promise we'll go easy." Jackson let out a humorless laugh. "Liar!" Lily clenched her fists. She wasn't going anywhere. Victor sighed dramatically. "Fine, have it your way." A single gunshot blasted through the night. Glass shattered. Titan barked sharply, pushing Lily to the ground as the bullet whizzed past. Then chaos. A second gunshot, this time Jackson fired back. A grunt sounded outside, followed by frantic shouts. "Dar, they're shooting," one of the men yelled. Jackson grabbed Lily's arm, his voice sharp. "We need to move now!" More gunfire. They darted toward the back of the house, Titan at their heels, never leaving Lily's side. Jackson yanked open a closet, pulling out another gun. He tossed it to Lily. You remember how to use it?" Lily's grip tightened around the cold metal. Her brother had taught her to shoot years ago. "Like riding a bike." Jackson nodded. "We make our stand here." Titan whined softly, sensing the storm before it hit. Then a loud crash. They were coming in. Jackson aimed at the door. "Get ready." The first man kicked through the entrance. Gun raised, but Titan moved first. The German Shepherd launched, a blur of teeth and muscle. He slammed into the intruder, knocking him backward. The gun clattered to the floor. The man screamed as Titan's jaws clamped onto his arm, shaking it violently. "Jesus, get him off!" Jackson fired. The second man collapsed instantly. Lily's hands were shaking, but she aimed at the next figure stepping in. She pulled the trigger. Bang! He dropped. The man pinned under Titan flailed wildly, but there was no escaping the shepherd's bite. It was like a vice. "Call him off," the man pleaded. Lily met his gaze, her voice cold. "You should have left us alone." Victor's voice roared from outside. "Fall back!" Jackson cursed. Their running footsteps thundered away. Lily's chest heaved as she stood over the bleeding man, Titan still snarling, teeth deep in his arm. Jackson lowered his gun, listening to the fading sound of retreating vehicles. Cowards. Lily's entire body trembled. They'd won. The sound of sirens finally broke the night's grip. Police back up. Too late as always. Jackson exhaled, rubbing his temple. Damn, that was messy. Lily sank onto the floor, pulling Titan close. His tail wagged slightly, his tongue flicking over her cheek. He was fine. She was fine. "We did it," she whispered, burying her face into his fur. Jackson let out a chuckle. "Correction, Titan did it." She laughed breathlessly, the tension finally breaking. A police officer stepped inside, gun still raised. "Hands up now!" Jackson rolled his eyes, raising his hands lazily. "You're late, Martinez." The officer, Martinez, lowered his weapon slightly, recognizing Jackson. "Reed? What the hell happened here?" "Long story," Jackson replied, holstering his weapon. "You'll want to call Detective Ramirez. This is connected to the Caney investigation." Martinez's eyes wide. "Caney? Are you serious?" As the police secured the scene and took their statements, Lily sat with Titan, her hand never leaving his fur. The injured man was loaded into an ambulance, 2 officers accompanying him. It was finally over, or was it? As the police cuffed the injured man, Lily locked eyes with him, his lip curled into a twisted grin. Caney doesn't forget. Chills ran down her spine. Titan growled again. She gripped his fur, her pulse steady. She wasn't afraid anymore. Let them try. She had Titan, and she wasn't going down without a fight. The police station hummed with activity despite the late hour. Lily sat in an uncomfortable metal chair, a cup of lukewarm coffee untouched on the table before her. Titan lay at her feet, still vigilant despite the supposedly safe surroundings. Jackson paced nearby, occasionally stopping to speak in hushed tones with officers he knew from his days on the force. His connections were proving valuable. They weren't being treated as suspects, but as victims who had defended themselves. Detective Sofia Ramirez entered the room, her sharp eyes taking in everything at once. She was a small woman with an imposing presence, her dark hair pulled back in a severe bun. "Miss Morgan," she said, taking a seat across from Lily, "I understand you've had quite a night." Lily nodded. "That's putting it mildly." Ramirez opened a file. "Victor Caney. We've been after him for years. Robbery, extortion, human trafficking. He's slippery. And now he's after me," Lily said quietly. Ramirez's expression softened slightly. "The men we arrested tonight will face charges, but Caney got away." "He'll come back," Lily said with certainty. "Yes," Ramirez agreed. "He will. His ego won't let this go. You and your dog humiliated him, cost him men. In his world, that demands retribution." Titan shifted at Lily's feet, sensing her tension. She reached down to stroke his head. "So what do we do?" Lily asked. "We could put you in protective custody," Ramirez suggested, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Lily shook her head. "I'm not hiding." Ramirez nodded as if she'd expected this response. "Then we use you as bait." Jackson, who had been listening nearby, stepped forward. "No way, that's too dangerous." "It's the fastest way to catch him," Ramirez countered. "We set a trap. Let Caney think he's getting his revenge, and take him down when he shows." Lily looked down at Titan, then back at Ramirez. "I'll do it." Jackson cursed. "Lily, think about this." "I have," she interrupted. "I'm tired of being hunted. Let's end this." Ramirez smiled slightly. "Good. We'll need a few days to set everything up. In the meantime, you'll stay somewhere safe, somewhere Caney won't expect." "She can stay with me," a new voice said from the doorway. Lily turned to see Officer Maya Chen, her brother's former colleague and close friend. Maya had been there for Lily after her brother's death, helping her navigate the grief and eventually connecting her with Titan. "My place is off the grid," Maya continued. "No one from the department even knows where it is except for a select few." Ramirez considered this, then nodded. "That could work." Jackson still looked unhappy, but he didn't object further. "I'll be there too." Lily felt a wave of gratitude. She wasn't alone in this fight. "It's settled then," Ramirez said, closing her file. "Officer Chen will take you to her safe house. We'll keep you updated on the plan to catch Caney." As they prepared to leave, Lily felt Titan press against her leg, a solid, reassuring presence. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Maya's off-the-grid location turned out to be a cabin nestled deep in the woods about an hour outside the city. The narrow dirt road leading to it was barely visible from the main highway, and the dense trees provided natural cover. "My grandfather left me this place," Maya explained as she unlocked the front door. "I've added some security upgrades over the years." The cabin looked rustic from the outside, but inside it was equipped with modern surveillance systems, reinforced doors, and bulletproof windows disguised as ordinary glass. "Paranoid much?" Jackson commented, though he was clearly impressed. Maya shrugged. "In our line of work, paranoia keeps you alive." Titan immediately began exploring the new environment, sniffing every corner, his training kicking in as he checked for threats. "He'll sleep by your door tonight," Maya said, watching the dog. "Old habits die hard with these canines." Lily nodded, grateful for Titan's protective instincts. "How long do you think we'll be here?" "A few days," Jackson replied, setting down the bags they'd hastily packed from his place. "Ramirez needs time to set up the operation properly. Caney is smart. We only get one shot at this." The gravity of the situation settled over Lily. They were planning to use her as bait to catch one of the most dangerous criminals in the city. The risk was enormous, but so was the potential reward. Freedom from Caney's threats and justice for his many victims. "Get some rest," Maya advised. "Tomorrow we start planning." That night, as predicted, Titan positioned himself outside Lily's bedroom door, his body alert even in sleep. Lily lay awake for hours, replaying the events of the night in her mind. How quickly life could change. One moment she was making a routine ATM withdrawal. The next she was being hunted by a crime lord. She thought of her brother, who had died in the line of duty 3 years ago. Would he be proud of how she'd handled herself? Of how she'd partnered with Titan? She liked to think so. Morning came too quickly. Lily emerged from her room to find Jackson and Maya already at the kitchen table, maps and documents spread before them. "Coffee's ready," Maya said without looking up. Lily poured herself a cup and joined them, Titan settling at her feet. "What's the plan?" Jackson pointed to a map of the city. "Ramirez wants to set the trap here at Westlake Park. It's public enough that Caney will feel safe approaching, but controlled enough that we can position officers without being obvious." "And what will I be doing?" Lily asked. "Walking Titan," Maya said simply. "Just a normal evening routine. We'll have plainclothes officers throughout the park and snipers on the surrounding buildings. Caney will be watching," Jackson added. "He'll want to see you vulnerable before he makes his move." Lily's stomach tightened, but she nodded. "When?" "3 days from now," Jackson replied. "Ramirez is gathering intelligence on Caney's movements. We need to know his patterns before we set the trap." The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. Maya and Jackson drilled Lily on every possible scenario, teaching her signals and code words to use during the operation. Titan received refresher training from Jackson, honing his already impressive skills. On the morning of the operation, Lily stood on the cabin's porch, watching the sunrise through the trees. Titan sat beside her, his presence a comfort in the face of what was to come. Jackson joined them, his expression serious. "You can still back out, you know." Lily shook her head. "No, I can't. Not really. Caney would find me eventually. Better to face him on our terms." Jackson nodded, understanding. "Just stick to the plan. Let the police do their job. And if something goes wrong?" Lily asked quietly. Jackson placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then you trust Titan and you trust yourself." Hours later, as dusk fell over Westlake Park, Lily walked along the path with Titan by her side. She wore a bulletproof vest under her jacket and carried a concealed microphone that transmitted to the police team. The park was busy with evening joggers and people heading home from work. To any observer, Lily was just another dog owner taking her pet for a walk. But her eyes constantly scanned her surroundings, looking for any sign of Kane or his men. "All units in position," came Ramirez's voice through the tiny earpiece Lily wore. "Keep walking the perimeter, Morgan. Stay visible." Lily acknowledged with a subtle tap on her microphone. Titan walked calmly beside her, but she could feel the tension in his body. He sensed something. As they rounded a bend in the path, Lily spotted a black sedan parked at the edge of the park. Her heart raced, but she kept her pace steady. This was it. "Target vehicle spotted east entrance," she murmured into her microphone. "Copy that," Ramirez responded. "Stay on course. We have eyes on the vehicle." Lily continued walking, her hand tightening slightly on Titan's leash. The German Shepherd's ears were perked, his body alert but not alarmed. Then she saw him, Victor Caney, standing by a park bench ahead, watching her approach. He wasn't trying to hide, he wanted her to see him. "Target in sight," Lily whispered, "directly ahead." "We see him," Ramirez confirmed. "Keep moving toward him. We'll take him when he makes his move." Lily took a deep breath and continued forward. Titan growled softly, recognizing the threat. As she drew closer, Caney smiled. A cold, calculating expression that sent chills down her spine. "Evening, sweetheart," he called out. "Nice night for a walk?" Lily stopped a few yards away from him. "What do you want, Caney?" He chuckled. "Straight to the point. I like that." He glanced down at Titan. "Your dog cost me some good men." "They shouldn't have tried to rob me," Lily replied, her voice steadier than she felt. Caney's smile faded. "No one makes a fool of me. No one." He took a step toward her, and Titan's growl deepened. In her earpiece, Lily heard Ramirez. "Hold position. Wait for him to make a hostile move. You know," Caney continued, taking another step, "I was going to make this quick, but now I think I'll take my time with you. And when I'm done, I'll take that mutt too. Always wanted a trained police dog." Lily's blood ran cold. "You're not touching him." Caney laughed. "Who's going to stop me? You!" He reached inside his jacket. "Gun!" Lily shouted into her microphone, dropping to the ground and releasing Titan's leash. The German Shepherd launched forward as Caney pulled out a pistol, Before he could aim, Titan slammed into him, knocking him to the ground. The gun flew from his hand. Chaos erupted in the park. People screamed and ran. Police officers emerged from their hiding spots, converging on Caney. But something was wrong. More men appeared, rushing from the black sedan and surrounding trees. Caney hadn't come alone. "It's a trap!" Jackson's voice shouted through the earpiece. "Lily, get down!" Gunfire erupted. Lily dropped flat on the ground, heart pounding. Titan stood over her, snarling at anyone who came close. Through the chaos, she saw Caney struggling to his feet, reaching for his fallen gun. Without thinking, Lily scrambled forward, kicking the weapon away. Caney's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in fury. He lunged at her, but Titan was faster. The German Shepherd intercepted him, jaws clamping around his arm. Caney screamed in pain and rage. "Get this dog off me!" Police officers surrounded them, weapons drawn. "NYPD, don't move!" Caney struggled against Titan's hold, but the dog wouldn't release until commanded. His men, seeing their leader captured, began to surrender one by one. Ramirez approached, gun trained on Caney. "Victor Caney, you're under arrest for attempted murder, criminal conspiracy, and about a dozen other charges." "Titan, release," Lily commanded. The German Shepherd immediately let go and returned to Lily's side, standing protectively next to her as officers handcuffed Caney. Caney spat on the ground, glaring at Lily. "This isn't over." Ramirez yanked him to his feet. "Yes, it is. You're looking at life without parole, Caney." As they led him away, Jackson rushed to Lily's side. "Are you okay?" She nodded, still shaking. "We did it." Jackson smiled, relief evident in his eyes. "No, Lily, you and Titan did it." Lily knelt down, wrapping her arms around Titan's neck. The German Shepherd licked her face, his tail wagging slightly. "Good boy," she whispered, "the best boy." 6 months later, Lily stood at the edge of a training field, watching as Titan ran through an obstacle course. His powerful body moved with grace and precision, navigating jumps, tunnels, and climbing walls with ease. "He still got it," Jackson commented, standing beside her. Lily smiled. "Now, of course he does." After Caney's arrest, life had slowly returned to normal. The crime lord had been convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to life in prison without parole. His criminal organization had crumbled without his leadership, its members scattered or arrested. Lily had been offered a job with the police department's K9 training division, using her experience with Titan to help train new handlers. She had accepted without hesitation. "Officer Chen says the new recruits are terrified of you," Jackson teased. Lily laughed. "They should be more terrified of Titan. He doesn't tolerate mistakes." As if hearing his name, Titan completed the course and ran to Lily's side, sitting at attention, awaiting his next command. "Good boy," she said, offering him a treat. His tail wagged as he accepted it. "You know," Jackson said thoughtfully, "most people would have gotten rid of a dog after going through what you did. Too many bad memories." Lily shook her head. "Titan didn't create those memories. He saved me from them being much worse." She scratched behind the German Shepherd's ears. "Besides, we're a team now." Jackson nodded, understanding. "The best kind of team." Titan pressed against Lily's leg, his golden eyes looking up at her with unwavering loyalty. She knew that no matter what challenges life might bring next, she would never face them alone. Some bonds, forged in moments of danger and sealed through acts of courage, become unbreakable. The bond between Lily and Titan was just such a connection, a partnership built on trust, strengthened by adversity and defined by mutual protection. As the sun set over the training field, Lily gave Titan the command to heal, and together they walked toward home, guardian and protected, each watching over the other, inseparable. "Come on, boy," she said softly. "Let's go home." Titan walked beside her, alert and proud, a silent guardian, ready for whatever might come next. And Lily walked with confidence, knowing that with Titan by her side, she would never truly be alone or afraid again. The months following Kane's arrest had been transformative for Lily. Her work with the police department's K9 training division gave her a sense of purpose she hadn't felt since before her brother's death. Working with Titan daily, helping to train new handlers and their dogs, felt like honoring her brother's memory in the most fitting way possible. "I think he would be proud of us," she told Titan one evening as they sat on her porch watching the sunset. The German Shepherd rested his head on her lap, his eyes half closed in contentment. Lily's phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Kaney's appeal was denied. He's staying put. A weight lifted from Lily's shoulders. Despite his conviction, a part of her had worried that Kaney might somehow find a way out, that he might come after her again. Now that fear could finally be put to rest. Jackson visited regularly, often joining Lily for training sessions with Titan. Their shared experience had forged a deeper friendship, one built on mutual respect and understanding. I'm thinking of getting back on the force, he told her during one such visit. Desk job, K-9 unit supervisor. They need someone with experience. You should do it, Lily encouraged. Those dogs need someone who understands them. Jackson smiled, watching Titan navigate a complex training course. Like you understand him? Lily nodded. He saved my life more than once. That's what they're trained to do, Jackson replied. But with Titan, I think it's more than training. He chose you. Lily thought about that often in the quiet moments. How Titan had seemed to know from the very beginning that they belonged together. How he had stepped into the role of protector so naturally, as if it had always been his purpose. 1 year after the night at the ATM, Lily received a call from Detective Ramirez. We're dismantling the last of Kane's operation today, Ramirez informed her. Thought you might want to know. Thank you, Lily replied, feeling a sense of closure. Your dog, Ramirez continued, he did more than save you that night. He helped us take down one of the biggest criminal organizations in the city. The department wants to recognize him. A week later, Titan stood at attention as the police commissioner pinned a special commendation to his service vest. Cameras flashed, reporters called out questions, but Titan remained focused, professional to the core. How does it feel to have a hero dog? One reporter asked Lily. She smiled, her hand resting on Titan's back. He was a hero long before he saved me. All these service dogs are. We just don't always see it until we need them. The ceremony made local news, then national. Suddenly, Titan was a celebrity. Organizations wanted Lily to speak about K-9 training and personal protection. Security companies offered endorsement deals. A children's book publisher even approached her about writing Titan's story. Through it all, Titan remained the same. Alert, loyal, ready to protect Lily at a moment's notice. Fame meant nothing to him. His purpose was unchanged. 2 years after the incident, Lily expanded her role with the police department, developing a specialized training program for civilians with protection dogs. She taught them how to work effectively with their canine partners, emphasizing the bond between handler and dog. The strongest protection doesn't come from the dog's teeth, she would tell her students. It comes from the connection you build, the trust you establish, the partnership you create. Titan would demonstrate, responding instantly to Lily's commands, showcasing the seamless communication they had developed. This didn't happen overnight, Lily would explain. It took time, patience, consistency. But when it matters most, this connection can save your life. Her students listened intently, many of them drawn to the class after hearing Titan's story. They wanted what Lily had, not just protection, but partnership. On cool evenings, Lily and Titan would walk through the same park where they had helped capture Kaney. What had once been a place of danger had been reclaimed, transformed by new memories of peaceful strolls and playful training sessions. Sometimes Lily would stop at the bench where Kaney had waited that night, where everything could have ended so differently. She would watch Titan exploring nearby, always keeping her in his sight, always returning to check on her. We made it, she would whisper, more to herself than to him. But Titan would always look up, as if he understood, his golden eyes meeting hers with that same unwavering loyalty. 3 years after the ATM incident, Maya approached Lily with a proposal. The department is first starting a new program, she explained, working with trauma survivors, pairing them with trained protection dogs. We need someone to head it up. Lily didn't hesitate. I'll do it. The program quickly became her passion. Working with people who had experienced violence or trauma, helping them rebuild their sense of security through partnership with a trained dog. It felt like the perfect evolution of her journey with Titan. He's not just protection, one woman told Lily after working with her assigned German Shepherd for 6 months. He's freedom. I can go places again. I can live again. Lily understood completely. That was what Titan had given her. Not just safety, but liberation from fear. As Titan reached his 8th birthday, Lily noticed the first signs of aging, a slight slowing in his movements, a touch of gray around his muzzle. He was still powerful, still alert, but time was beginning to leave its mark. "You're not getting old," she told him, rubbing his ears. "You're just becoming distinguished." Jackson laughed when she shared this observation with him. "Distinguished, huh? Well, he's earned it." Lily began training a younger dog, a German Shepherd named Nova, to eventually take over some of Titan's demonstration duties. Titan watched the process with what seemed like approval, occasionally stepping in to model the correct behavior when Nova got distracted. "He's teaching her," Jackson observed during one session. "I've never seen anything like it." Lily smiled. "He knows what's important." On the 5th anniversary of the night that had changed everything, Lily took Titan back to the ATM where it had all begun. The area had changed. New businesses, better lighting, security cameras prominently displayed. But the ATM was still there. Titan sat beside her, alert as always, watching the few people who passed by on the now better-lit street. "5 years ago, you saved my life here," Lily told him, kneeling to meet his eyes. "And every day since." Titan pressed his nose against her hand, his tail wagging gently. A young woman approached the ATM, glancing nervously around before inserting her card. She noticed Titan and smiled. "Beautiful dog," she commented. "Makes me feel safer just having him around." Lily nodded. "That's what he does best." As they walked home under the stars, Lily reflected on the journey they had shared. From a moment of terror to a life of purpose, from being victims to helping others overcome their fears, all because of the unbreakable bond between a woman and her loyal protector. Titan walked beside her, still scanning their surroundings, still on duty after all these years. Some things never changed, and Lily was profoundly grateful for that constancy. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" she said softly. Titan looked up at her, his golden eyes reflecting the streetlights, filled with the same devotion they had always held. In that moment, Lily knew with absolute certainty that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage, because Titan had taught her how to be brave, how to stand her ground, how to fight back against fear. And that was perhaps his greatest gift of all. As Titan entered his 10th year, his role began to shift from active protector to mentor. The younger dogs in the training program looked to him as a model, following his lead in exercises and drills. Though his muzzle had whitened and his pace had slowed, his intelligence and presence remained undiminished. "He's like the wise old grandfather now," Maya observed during a training session, watching as Titan demonstrated a complex command sequence for a group of new recruits and their dogs. Lily nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and poignancy. He knows he's passing the torch. The program Lily had developed for trauma survivors had expanded to 3 cities, with plans for further growth. Former victims of violence were reclaiming their lives, building relationships with dogs who provided both protection and healing companionship. "It's not just about safety," Lily explained in an interview for a national magazine feature on the program. "It's about rebuilding trust, about having a partner who sees the world as a place full of potential threats, but faces it anyway, with courage and vigilance. These dogs teach us how to live fully even while staying alert." The reporter looked at Titan, who lay at Lily's feet during the interview, still watchful despite his years. "And it all started with him?" Lily smiled, reaching down to stroke Titan's head. "Everything good in my life now can be traced back to that night, to his courage." Jackson had fully returned to the police force, heading up the K-9 training division. He and Lily worked closely together, their programs often overlapping. They had developed a comfortable friendship that occasionally hinted at something more, though neither seemed in a rush to define it. "Titan approves of you," Lily told him once, after the dog had chosen to lie at Jackson's feet during a dinner at her home. Jackson laughed. "Highest compliment I could receive." On Titan's 10th birthday, Lily organized a special celebration. The team from the K-9 unit came, along with Maya Ramirez, now a captain, and several graduates of the trauma survivor program with their dogs. They gathered in Lily's backyard, where Titan accepted attention and treats with dignified patience. "He's had quite a life," Ramirez commented, watching as Titan gently interacted with a child who had come with one of the program participants. "He's still having it," Lily corrected. He may be slowing down, but he's not done yet. As if to prove her point, Titan suddenly stiffened, his attention focused on the gate to the backyard. A moment later, a delivery person appeared with a package. Titan relaxed once Lily acknowledged the delivery, but the demonstration of his continuing vigilance was unmistakable. Once a guardian, always a guardian, Jackson observed. That night, after everyone had gone, Lily sat on her porch with Titan beside her, as had become their evening ritual. The stars were particularly bright, the night peaceful. 10 years, she murmured, her hand resting on his back. Who would have thought that the worst night of my life would lead to all this? Titan leaned against her, a solid, warm presence that had become the center of her world. The following spring brought a new challenge. Titan began limping after long training sessions. The veterinarian diagnosed arthritis in his hips, common in aging German shepherds. He can still work, the vet assured Lily, but he'll need to take it easier. Shorter sessions, more rest between activities. Lily adjusted his schedule, ensuring he still had purpose while protecting his health. Titan seemed to understand the new limitations, adapting with the same intelligence he brought to everything. Nova, now fully trained, took over more of the demonstration duties. Titan watched from the sidelines, occasionally barking what sounded like corrections when she made mistakes. He's backseat driving, Jackson joked during one such session. Lily laughed. He has high standards. As Titan's 11th birthday approached, Lily noticed him spending more time watching the world rather than actively engaging with it. He still accompanied her everywhere, still remained alert to potential threats, but there was a new quietness to him, a contemplative quality. He's earned his rest, Maya told her when Lily shared her observations. I know, Lily agreed. I just want him to know how much he matters, how much he's changed everything. On a warm summer evening, Lily took Titan for a drive. They visited all their significant places, the ATM where it had begun, the park where they had helped capture Caney, the training facility where they had worked with countless dogs and handlers. Finally, they ended up at a quiet spot overlooking the city. Titan sat beside Lily as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. You know what you did, don't you? Lily said softly, her arm around his strong shoulders. You didn't just save me from those men. You saved me from fear, from isolation, from giving up after losing my brother. You gave me purpose again. Titan leaned against her, his golden eyes meeting hers with the same understanding they had always held. Whatever comes next, Lily continued, her voice thick with emotion. Whatever time we have left together, I want you to know that you changed everything. You're not just a hero because of one night. You're a hero because of every day since. Titan pressed his nose against her hand, his tail sweeping slowly across the ground. In his eyes, Lily saw what she had always seen, unwavering loyalty, profound intelligence, and a spirit that would never yield to fear. As darkness fell over the city, they sat together in comfortable silence, guardian and protected, each the center of the other's world. A partnership forged in danger, tempered by time, and defined by a love that transcended words. The stars emerged one by one, bright points of light in the vast darkness. Lily thought about all the nights they had shared, all the moments of connection, all the lives they had touched together. Thank you, she whispered, pressing her face against his fur. Titan's response was simple. He stayed as he always had, as he always would for whatever time remained. Steady, vigilant, the embodiment of loyalty in its purest form. And in that moment, under the endless stars, Lily knew with absolute certainty that some bonds truly are unbreakable, extending beyond fear, beyond danger, beyond time itself. A connection that had begun with a growl in the darkness and had grown into the defining relationship of her life. As Titan's 12th year approached, his movements became more deliberate, his rest periods longer. The arthritis in his hips had progressed despite medication and careful management. Yet his eyes remained clear and alert, his mind as sharp as ever. Lily had gradually shifted his role to what she called supervisory duties. He would observe training sessions from a comfortable spot, occasionally demonstrating a specific command, but mostly watching as younger dogs did the physical work. He's like a professor emeritus now, Jackson commented one day as they watched Titan overseeing a group of trainees. Teaching by presence rather than demonstration. Lily nodded, feeling a familiar mixture of pride and sadness. He knows his limitations, but he still wants to contribute. The program for trauma survivors had become nationally recognized, with Lily frequently invited to speak at conferences and police departments across the country. When possible, Titan accompanied her, his dignified presence adding weight to her presentations. "This is the dog that started it all," she would tell audiences, her hand resting on Titan's head. "He showed me that protection isn't just about physical safety, it's about having the courage to reclaim your life after trauma." Participants in the program often shared how their service dogs had transformed their lives, enabling them to venture out again, to trust again, to sleep through the night without fear. Each story reinforced what Lily had learned through her journey with Titan, that the bond between human and dog could be profoundly healing. On cold or rainy days, Titan's arthritis would flare up, making it difficult for him to navigate stairs or jump into the car. Lily installed ramps throughout her home and purchased a special harness to help support him when needed. Jackson built a heated bed that eased the ache in Titan's joints during winter months. "You don't have to do all this," Lily told him as he installed the custom bed in her living room. Jackson looked up at her, his expression serious. "Yes, I do, for both of you." Their relationship had deepened over the years, evolving into a partnership that mirrored in many ways the bond Lily shared with Titan. Jackson understood, as few others could, the depth of connection between Lily and her dog. "He chose you that night," Jackson said once, "and every day since, you've chosen each other." As Titan's mobility continued to decline, Lily adapted their routine. Their long walks became shorter strolls or quiet time in the backyard. Training sessions transformed into gentle interaction with the younger dogs, with Titan offering guidance through subtle cues rather than physical demonstration. Through it all, his protective instinct remained undiminished. He still positioned himself between Lily and strangers, still alerted to unusual sounds, still watched over her with unwavering vigilance. "The body may slow, but the heart of a guardian never changes," Mai observed after watching Titan bark a warning when a delivery person approached Lily's house unannounced. On Titan's 12th birthday, Lily took a week off from work. They spent the time together at a quiet cabin by a lake, similar to Maya's safe house from years before, but chosen now for peace rather than protection. Titan seemed to enjoy the change of scenery, spending hours watching the water from the porch, alert to the movements of birds and fish. In the evenings, he would lie beside Lily as she read, occasionally placing his head in her lap, as if to check that she was still there. "I'm not going anywhere," she would assure him, stroking his graying muzzle. On their last night at the cabin, a thunderstorm rolled across the lake. As lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, Titan pressed closer to Lily on the couch, not out of fear. He had never been afraid of storms, but out of protective instinct. "Still on duty, even now," Lily murmured, wrapping her arm around him. They watched the storm together, guardian and protected, as they had faced so many challenges over the years. When autumn came, bringing cooler temperatures and colorful leaves, Titan's health took a noticeable downturn. His appetite decreased, and he tired more easily. The veterinarian ran tests and found that his kidneys were beginning to fail. "We can manage it with medication and diet for now," she explained gently. "But this is the beginning of the end stage." He's had a long, full life, especially for a working dog. Lily nodded, fighting back tears. "How long?" "Months, maybe a year with good care. And he has the best care possible." That night, Lily sat with Titan on their porch, watching the stars emerge one by one. His head rested heavily on her lap, his breathing deep and regular. "We've had quite a journey, haven't we?" she whispered, stroking his ears. "From that night at the ATM to all of this." Titan looked up at her, his golden eyes still bright despite his aging body. In that gaze, Lily saw the same loyalty, the same devotion that had defined their relationship from the beginning. "The vet says we still have time," she told him, her voice catching, "and we're going to make the most of every moment." In the weeks that followed, Lily adjusted her schedule to spend more time at home. The training program continued under the capable leadership of her assistants, with Lily checking in remotely when needed. Her priority now was Titan. Jackson came by regularly, often bringing special treats that tempted Titan's diminishing appetite or new cushions to ease his rest. You don't have to do all this, Lily told him one evening, as he arrived with a specially formulated bone broth that the vet had recommended. Yes, I do, Jackson replied simply. He would do the same for any of us. Maya and Ramirez visited too, sitting quietly with Titan, sharing stories of the cases he had helped solve, the lives he had touched. Remember when he cornered that suspect in the warehouse, Ramirez reminisced? The guy was so terrified he confessed to 3 additional crimes just to get Titan to back off. Lily laughed. He always could spot the guilty ones. As winter approached, Titan's good days became fewer. He still insisted on his protective duties, positioning himself near Lily whenever possible, but his strength was clearly fading. He's still trying to take care of you, Jackson observed one snowy afternoon as Titan dragged himself from his bed to Lily's side when the doorbell rang. That's who he is, Lily replied, helping Titan back to his cushion after determining the visitor was just a neighbor dropping off mail. It's who he's always been. The medications helped for a time, but by midwinter, it was clear they were losing their effectiveness. Titan's once robust appetite dwindled to occasional interest in favorite foods. His once powerful frame had thinned, though his eyes remained alert and watchful. On a particularly cold January night, Titan struggled to find a comfortable position to sleep. Lily sat beside his bed, gently stroking his side until he finally settled. It's okay to rest, she told him softly. You've earned it. You've done your job so well, better than anyone could have asked. Titan's eyes met hers, and in that moment, Lily felt he understood exactly what she was saying. He sighed deeply, then closed his eyes, his breathing gradually becoming more regular as he drifted into sleep. The next morning, Titan couldn't stand without assistance. Lily called the veterinarian, who came to the house immediately. His kidneys are failing completely now, she explained after examining him. He's in pain, though he's trying not to show it. Lily nodded, her throat tight. What do we do? The vet placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You know what needs to be done. The question is whether you're ready. Lily looked at Titan, who was watching her from his bed, his eyes still bright with intelligence and love despite his failing body. Can I have a day with him? To say goodbye properly? Of course, the vet replied. Call me when you're ready. I'll come to you. Lily called Jackson, who arrived within the hour. Together, they spent the day with Titan, reminiscing about his accomplishments, feeding him small bites of his favorite foods, making sure he knew how deeply he was loved. Maya came in the afternoon bringing Nova, who had become the lead demonstration dog in the training program. The younger German Shepherd approached Titan's bed carefully, seeming to sense his fragility. She lay down beside him, her head resting near his, a gesture of respect from one guardian to another. As evening approached, Lily took Titan outside one last time, supporting him with the special harness Jackson had made. They sat together on the porch, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. You changed everything, Lily told him, her voice breaking. That night at the ATM was just the beginning. Look at all the lives you've touched, all the people you've helped through the program. Your legacy will continue long after you're gone. Titan leaned against her, his weight of familiar comfort. I don't know who I would have become without you, she continued. You showed me how to be brave, how to trust again, how to build something meaningful out of trauma. As darkness fell, they returned inside. Jackson had built a fire in the fireplace, creating a warm, peaceful atmosphere. Titan's bed had been moved to the center of the living room, where he could see everyone. The veterinarian arrived as scheduled, her manner gentle and respectful. Are you ready, Ma? She asked Lily. Lily nodded, unable to speak. She sat beside Titan's bed, cradling his head in her lap. Jackson knelt on his other side, one hand resting on Titan's back. Thank you, Lily whispered to her loyal guardian, for everything. For saving me that night and every day since. For showing me what courage looks like. For never leaving my side. Titan's eyes remained fixed on hers as the veterinarian administered the injection. There was no fear in his gaze, only the same steady devotion he had always shown. You can rest now, Lily told him, her tears falling onto his fur. Your watch is over. Slowly, Titan's eyes closed. His breathing became shallower, then stopped altogether. The powerful heart that had driven him to protect, to serve, to love without reservation, beat its last. Jackson's arm encircled Lily's shoulders as she bent over Titan's still form, her grief too profound for words. They sat together in silence as the fire crackled and the night deepened around them. Later, after the veterinarian had gone and Titan's body had been prepared for cremation, Lily stood at the window, looking out at the star-filled sky. "He had a good life," Jackson said quietly, joining her. "The best life a dog could have." Lily nodded. "And he gave me the best of himself, every day." In the days that followed, condolences poured in from everyone who had known Titan. Police officers he had worked with, participants in the trauma program, handlers he had helped train, community members who had heard his story. Each message reinforced what Lily already knew. Titan's impact extended far beyond her life, touching countless others through his courage and service. A month after Titan's passing, the police department held a memorial service honoring his contributions. His ashes, contained in a simple wooden box with his name engraved on a brass plate, were placed on a table draped with the K9 unit flag. Officers spoke of his bravery, his intelligence, his unwavering dedication. Participants in the trauma program shared how his story had inspired them to trust their own service dogs, to believe in the possibility of healing. When it was Lily's turn to speak, she stood at the podium, her hand resting on the box containing Titan's remains. "Titan saved my life the night we were attacked at that ATM," she began. "But that was just the first time. He saved me again when he helped capture Victor Kane. He saved me through his daily presence, his constant vigilance, his unquestioning loyalty." She paused, gathering herself. "But his greatest gift wasn't protection, it was purpose. Through Titan, I found a way to help others, to transform my own trauma into something meaningful. The program we built together has helped hundreds of survivors reclaim their lives, just as Titan helped me reclaim mine." Lily looked out at the assembled group, at the faces of those who had known and loved Titan, at the K9 officers with their dogs sitting attentively beside them. "A bond like the one I shared with Titan doesn't end with death. It continues in every life he touched, in every dog and handler who serves our community, in every survivor who finds the courage to trust again." After the service, Jackson walked with Lily to her car. Nova, who had attended the memorial, trotted beside them, her presence a comfort, though not a replacement. "What will you do now?" Jackson asked. Lily looked down at the wooden box she carried, then up at the clear blue sky. "Continue his work," she replied. "What else could I do?" Spring brought new growth to the memorial garden Lily had planted in Titan's honor. Native flowers bloomed around a simple stone marker bearing his name and the words guardian, hero, friend. Lily often sat there in the early morning or late evening, sometimes talking to him as if he could still hear, sometimes simply remembering. The Trauma Survivor program continued to expand, with Lily at its helm. She traveled less now, focusing on training new instructors who could take the program to other cities. Nova accompanied her to work each day, not as Titan's replacement, but as a continuation of his legacy. 1 year after Titan's passing, Lily received a special request. A young girl who had been rescued from a trafficking operation, one with connections to Victor Kane's former organization, needed a service dog to help her recover from the trauma. The child had heard Titan's story and specifically asked for a dog like him. "We have a German Shepherd who might be perfect," the program coordinator told Lily, "but he needs specialized training. Would you consider working with him?" Lily didn't hesitate. "Bring him to me." The dog, a 2-year-old named Atlas, had been rescued from an abusive situation. Despite his rough start, he showed the same intelligence and protective instinct that had made Titan exceptional. Working with Atlas awakened something in Lily that had been dormant since Titan's death, a sense of partnership, of shared purpose. Though no dog could ever replace Titan, Atlas offered a new beginning, a chance to continue the work that had defined her life. Jackson watched her training Atlas one afternoon, noting the connection that was already forming between them. "Titan would approve," he said, as the young dog successfully completed a complex protection sequence. Lily smiled, feeling a weight lift from her heart. Yes, he would. 2 years after Titan's passing, Lily stood once again at the ATM where their journey had begun. Atlas sat beside her, alert and watchful, his posture reminiscent of Titan's protective stance. The area had changed over the years. Better lighting, more security cameras, regular police patrols, partly due to Lily's advocacy following her attack. What had once been a place of fear had been transformed, just as she had been transformed by the events that began there. "This is where I met my first guardian," she told Atlas, who looked up at her with attentive eyes. "He saved me here, and that was just the beginning." As they walked away from the ATM, Lily felt a sense of completion, of coming full circle. The journey that had begun in fear and danger had led to purpose, to healing, to a legacy that continued to grow. Atlas walked beside her, his step confident, his attention focused on their surroundings. Not Titan, but a worthy successor, carrying forward the sacred duty of guardian. Above them, the first stars of evening appeared in the darkening sky. Lily looked up, remembering all the nights she and Titan had sat together on the porch, watching the stars emerge one by one. "Thank you," she whispered, not to Atlas, but to the memory of her first protector, her hero, her friend. And somewhere in that vast night sky, she liked to think that Titan heard her, that he knew his legacy lived on. In the program that bore his name, in the lives he had helped save, in the heart of the woman who had been forever changed by his courage and devotion. For some bonds truly are unbreakable, transcending even death itself, continuing to shape lives long after the final goodbye. The bond between Lily and Titan was such a connection, forged in danger, strengthened through service, and immortalized in the countless lives touched by their shared journey, from a moment of terror to a lifetime of purpose. As Lily and Atlas continued their patrol, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves overhead, carrying with it the whisper of a promise made long ago and kept faithfully until the end: to protect, to serve, to stand guard against the darkness. A promise that, through Lily's work and the continuing legacy of one extraordinary dog, would never truly end. 5 years after Titan's passing, the Titan Morgan Foundation had become a nationally recognized organization dedicated to training service dogs for trauma survivors. What had begun as a small program within the police department had grown into an independent nonprofit with facilities in 12 states. Lily served as the foundation's director, overseeing its expansion while remaining hands-on with the training of special cases. Atlas had become her constant companion, though she had never formally adopted him, preferring to consider him a working partner rather than a pet. "He's not Titan," she explained to a journalist writing a feature on the Foundation's 5th anniversary. "No dog ever could be, but he carries forward the same mission, the same purpose." The Foundation's headquarters, a modern facility built on donated land outside the city, included a memorial wall honoring Titan. His photograph, alert, dignified, radiating protective energy, was centered among images of other service dogs who had made extraordinary contributions to their handlers' recovery. Visitors to the Foundation often lingered at the wall, reading the stories of these remarkable animals and the humans whose lives they had transformed. "It all began with one dog and one night," Lily would tell new trainees during their orientation. "What seems like your worst moment can become the catalyst for your greatest purpose, if you're willing to learn the lessons it has to teach." Jackson had become the Foundation's head of training, bringing his expertise as a former K9 handler to the specialized work of preparing dogs for trauma survivors. His relationship with Lily had deepened over the years, evolving into a partnership that complemented their professional collaboration. "We were brought together by Titan," he often said. "Everything good in our lives can be traced back to him." On the 5th anniversary of the Foundation's establishment, a special ceremony was held to dedicate a new training facility named in Titan's honor. Police officers, program graduates with their service dogs, donors, and community supporters gathered to celebrate the legacy of one extraordinary German Shepherd. As Lily stood at the podium, Atlas sitting attentively beside her, she looked out at the assembled crowd, at the lives touched directly or indirectly by Titan's courage and her decision to transform trauma into purpose. 5 years ago, we began this foundation with a simple mission: to connect trauma survivors with specially trained service dogs who could help them reclaim their lives. Today, we've placed over 500 dogs with survivors across the country. She paused, her hand resting on Atlas's head. Each of these partnerships represents a victory over fear, a step toward healing, a life reclaimed from trauma. And each one honors the dog who started it all, who showed me that protection isn't just about physical safety, but about having the courage to move forward, to trust again, to build something meaningful from the ashes of fear. After the ceremony, as guests mingled and toured the new facility, Lily slipped away to the memorial garden. The stone marker bearing Titan's name was now surrounded by mature plants, creating a peaceful sanctuary within the larger grounds. She sat on the bench Jackson had built, Atlas settling at her feet. The evening was warm, the sky clear, with the first stars just beginning to appear. 5 years, she murmured. So much has changed, yet some things remain constant. The Foundation's work had evolved, expanding to include research on the neurological benefits of service dogs for trauma recovery, advocacy for legislation supporting service animal access, and international partnerships with similar organizations. Yet at its core, the mission remained what it had always been: to foster the healing bond between humans and dogs, to transform trauma into purpose, to continue the legacy that began with one dog's protective instinct and one woman's determination to reclaim her life. Atlas lifted his head suddenly, ears perked toward the path leading to the garden. A moment later, Jackson appeared, carrying 2 glasses of champagne. "Thought you might be here," and he said, handing one to Lily before sitting beside her. "Quite a day." Lily nodded, looking out over the Foundation grounds where dogs and handlers were demonstrating training techniques for interested visitors. "I was just thinking about how far we've come," she said, "and how it all started." Jackson followed her gaze. "He'd be proud, you know, of all of this, of you." Lily smiled, feeling the familiar mixture of grief and gratitude that thoughts of Titan always evoked. "I know." They sat in comfortable silence as darkness settled over the garden, each lost in their own memories of the remarkable dog who had brought them together, whose legacy continued to grow through their shared work. Atlas remained alert at their feet, his posture reminiscent of Titan's protective stance. A living reminder that the mission continued, that the bond between guardian and protected endured, that courage and devotion could transform lives long after the original guardian had completed his watch. As the stars emerged one by one in the vast night sky, Lily raised her glass in a silent toast to her first protector, her hero, her friend. The dog who had saved her life in more ways than she could count, whose legacy lived on in every partnership formed, every life reclaimed, every fear overcome through the healing bond between human and dog. Some journeys begin in darkness but lead to light. Some protectors leave paw prints not just on the ground but on the heart. And some bonds forged in danger and strengthened through service create ripples that continue to spread, touching countless lives long after the initial connection has ended. The bond between Lily and Titan was such a connection, a testament to the extraordinary capacity of dogs to protect, to heal, to transform human lives through their unwavering loyalty and courage. And as Lily sat in the garden dedicated to his memory, surrounded by the living embodiment of his legacy, she knew with absolute certainty that some stories never truly end. They simply evolve, continuing to inspire, to heal, to remind us of the profound connection possible between species and of the extraordinary impact one loyal guardian can have on the world.